Hello. Hello. Is this a learning experience? Is this just a place to learn? Is this a school for spirits? What is this place? You're born as a baby. You have to learn how to crawl. You have to crawl on the floor and play with blocks, play with little baby toys, make little sounds, because you have to learn language. You have to learn everything. You have to learn fine motor skills. You're basically born helpless and vulnerable. You have to learn everything. But you also have to grow and rely on others. You have to learn how to stand up after you learn how to crawl, and walk and take your first steps. And that's a joyous occasion for parents. They celebrate when their children stand up and walk, take their first steps in this realm. You have to learn everything here. You have to be fed as a baby. And then you have to learn how to feed yourself. You have to learn how to use a spoon and make your parents proud. You have to learn everything in this place. You have to learn how to bathe yourself and put on your clothes, get dressed in the morning. You have to learn all sorts of basic life skills. You have to learn how to tie your shoes. This little boy might be trying on his older brother's shoes, or maybe his dad's shoes or something. Shoes look much too big for him. That's okay. You had to learn how to tie your shoes. You have to learn everything here. Everything. Learn your lessons. Learn how to brush your teeth. I know this is a strange image. AI has trouble with certain things like this, like toothbrushes, and it's good enough. It's good enough. Is it good enough, though, learning how to brush your teeth once? No. You have to brush your teeth for lifetimes, and you have to relearn because you forget. You go through the veil of forgetfulness, so you have to relearn all of this stuff and repeat it all. You have to learn how to crawl again, stand up, walk again. You have to learn how to tell time. Lifetime upon lifetime. Lifetimes of sentences here. Sentences. You're given sentences like you're an inmate, a hellmate, a prisoner. You have to relearn how to tell time, lifetime upon lifetime. Relearn how to tie your shoes, feed yourself, stand up, walk, brush your teeth, tie your shoes, take a bath, learn how to get dressed, put on your clothes, learn how to use buttons and zippers and shoes and boots, jackets and gloves. Learn how to dress appropriately for the weather. Is it too cold? You better dress warm. You have to learn all these simple things. Learn how to cook food. Learn how to not burn your hand on a hot stove. Learn how to not fall prey to temptation, to demons that want to influence you and control you. But that's not good enough, because this is a recycling system. So you get reincarnated here. You got to do it all over again. And they take your memory away. They might not delete it, might not wipe it, but it's detained from you. It's quarantined. You have to relearn everything. But how do you learn, man, if you can't retain your knowledge? Man or woman? How do you do that if you have to repeat first grade forever and ever and ever? Endlessly, like a Twilight Zone episode where it just repeats and you have to relearn again how to tie your shoes, how to crawl, how to walk, how to brush your teeth, how to tell time, how to feed yourself. Over and over and over again for millions of lifetimes. learn your lessons and relearn them because you forgot. We took your memory away. You can't remember as a baby everything that you learned in your last lifetime. It's sequestered, it's quarantined from you. You don't have access to those memories, that knowledge. All the things you've studied. You studied science, you learned how to read and write. You learned mathematics, for example. You fell in love with someone. You don't remember them. You don't remember your wife or your husband from your past life or whoever they were. You don't remember the glorious places you visited, the mountains that you went. Maybe you climbed mountains, or maybe you just visited and looked at the mountains. Maybe you hiked around. You don't remember. You don't remember your experiences, lifetime upon lifetime upon lifetime here. You get recycled like soda cans, and they don't care about you any more than they do soda cans. They don't care. They don't care because you're just food for them. Is this a learning experience? Is this a place? Is this a school for spirits? You have to redo it endless lifetimes. Relearn. Learn, forget, relearn. Learn, forget, relearn. Over and over and over and over again. Well, how's that learning? You might love waterfalls, but you could forget. And say, why is it that I love waterfalls so much? Because you don't remember your past lifetime falling in love with a girl by a waterfall or taking her somewhere pretty. You forgot. How's that learning? How's that helping your spirit learn when you forget all the ones you've loved for lifetimes in this place? Maybe you've been here 1,000 lifetimes and you forgot. You have to learn how to drive. You're in the wrong seat. You're not behind the wheel. You got to learn how to drive. And you got to learn it again your next lifetime. Isn't that fun? Learning the same things over and over and over. The repetition of hell realm. You might want to consider that. You can't learn if you can't retain what you learned. You have to be able to retain your memories and your knowledge. That's what learning is. It involves being able to retain it. Retention of your memories. What's this? What's this here? Is this a psychedelic trip? Or is this a fevered dream? What is it? What is this? Are they on mushrooms? What did they learn from this experience? Well, they'll forget it. They won't remember in their next lifetime anyway. No matter what wild experiences they have, it'll be forgotten. They'll be reborn as a baby in a new meat suit. They'll forget all of this. What do you learn growing up in the hood with these abandoned crack houses and meth trap houses and shit? And the Negroes running around in gangs. And the crimes, armed robbery and grape and murder. And violence, poverty and cockroaches. And rats and hood rats. What do you learn from this? What do you learn from this? Is that the other side of Detroit? Is that the other side of the city? Far away from me? Well, it's only miles away, isn't it, man? Where is that? Where's that hood? Where's that hood? Somebody walking through the hood getting some hood snacks. What's going on there, man? What's going on? You want to be born in the hood? Wouldn't that be exciting for your next lifetime? To live in a shithole place? With abusive parents that might be drug dealers? You might be born as a drug-addicted baby. Wouldn't that be fun? You might step on a needle as a child and get AIDS. Wouldn't that be fun? Well, that'd be an experience, a learning experience. This is what the idiots on other channels tell you. You're here to learn. It's a school of hard knocks. You're just here to learn and experience. Experience the trash and the violence and the angry mobs and the riots and them chimping out. What an experience, man. What a wild, wonderful experience. Wouldn't that be amazing? Is that what you're here for? Are you that gullible and stupid that they can tell you anything and you'll nod your head up and down? Oh yeah, I'm here to learn. I volunteered. I'm on a mission. My spirit has to come to this shithole to learn. But it's not good enough one lifetime. I've got to come here for endless lifetimes to learn my lessons. Dolores Cannon said so. What's this here? What's this here? Right here. Is that a volcano with lava? What's going on? It might bury a village or maybe a small town or a city. It's wonderful, isn't it? Well, that would teach you something. If you're burned alive in hot lava, surely that would teach you, right? Come on, it's fun. Be a Stockholm Syndrome slave. Just be a dummy and follow these other channels that program you all over YouTube and the New Age. But there's lots of so-called truther channels that want to program you, man. Or lady. They love to program you, and they have their hand out saying, give me some shekels. I'm feeding you shit sandwiches, they'll tell you. Tony Sayers, Tank Top Tony, handing out shit sandwiches for shekels. They feed you shit, and they smile and say, give me money. What about the blizzards and the ones that freeze to death? Especially homeless people. But people that get trapped in vehicles often freeze to death. Isn't that wonderful? What a lesson. What a life lesson. Don't be homeless. Don't be homeless in Buffalo, New York. Or in Winnipeg, Canada. You could freeze. Or in Ottawa. It gets cold. Or in Quebec City. It's cold up there. It's cold there, man. You might freeze. Or in a blizzard, you might get in a car accident because you can't see. It's whiteout conditions. It just looks like white on the windshield. You can't see the road. And they'll close the road usually after someone dies in a car accident. Then the police will close a road when it's that bad. Isn't that amazing? Have you ever driven through a blizzard before? No visibility. What about tsunamis? Remember that one that hit Japan? What about the one that in the early 2000s, I think it might have been 2004, that hit Indonesia and all those places, and it killed hundreds of thousands. God's plan, God's design, man. You're here to learn. You're here to learn your lessons. This is a school for spirits, a school of hard knocks. Well, you didn't go through that, did you? You're alive, so fuck them, right? Is your attitude. Humpty Dumpty Matt McKinley would say, fuck them. They don't know about the not milk. What about this? Is this a hurricane with lightning? Sometimes, quite often, they produce lightning and flooding, and sometimes they'll spawn tornadoes as well. It's wonderful. What a design. Brutal nature. Well, it's a lesson if you get struck by lightning, or your house gets flooded, or destroyed, or your whole family dies in a house hit by a hurricane. Isn't that amazing? Or they drown? Well, they learned lessons here. Surely that's a lesson in the minds of fools. The Stockholm Syndrome slaves would say, well, that's a lesson. I'm learning through the death of my children. I'm learning something here. I'm here to learn. God sent me here to learn. And I'll justify it like a Stockholm Syndrome slave. That it's not all bad. It's not all hurricanes and disasters every day. So it must be a learning experience. It must be a school. Can I leave? Can I drop out? Can I say I'm done and just go home? How come I'm living at the school? What is this? Some kind of demented, torturous boarding school? Why can't I just leave the school without suffering or without going through something traumatic or violent or harsh? Why can't I just blink my eyes a few times and think I want out and leave? What about these tornadoes? What are they for? Lessons? More lessons from nature? God's plan? God's design? Is that what it is? Acts of God, as they call it. It's brutal. They wipe out whole towns sometimes. And some people say that's just an accident. No, it isn't. Tornadoes are common. That's a design feature of the realm. That's a part of the design, man or lady. What about fires that destroy whole cities? Raging fires that take forest fires and sometimes fires that consume towns and cities. And they roast people alive. Where's the lesson there, man? What are the lessons there when babies are being burned alive in their sleep? How's that a lesson? Burned alive in their cribs. Do you ever think of that? Do you ever think of the suffering of others? What about forest fires? What do they do to all the animals when the forests are on fire? Where does the wildlife go that has nowhere to run? Where do they go? The little mice, the little field mice, the skunks, the rabbits, the deer, raccoons, wolves, bears, on and on and on and on and on and on and on. And it looks like an earthquake leveled those buildings, those apartment buildings. Just destruction, devastation, disaster. Well, it is a God of calamity, right? God claims it creates good and evil, darkness and light. You should pray harder. Thank God. Be grateful. Hey, maybe you'll be born you'll be born as someone that has to use a wheelchair for life, or maybe that will befall you at some point in your next lifetime if it doesn't happen in this one. I'm not wishing this upon anyone, by the way. Your God does. The one that you praise and worship as good. Our God is an awesome God. Our God is an awesome God. You sound mental. You can make fun of me. You can do whatever, but I'm pointing out reality, man. The reality most of you couldn't see and couldn't look at, and most humans still can't do. If I won't spend 1,000 years here, but if I did, I'd reach hardly any more, because you're fucked. You're Stockholm Syndrome slaves. You don't want to look at what this place is. There's crippled people. There's 100 million or more blind people in this realm. Millions and millions suffering and struggling. Crippled people, disabled people in wheelchairs. Is there beauty? Hey, is there beauty? That's what they say. Don't you see the beauty, man? Well, yeah, I do. I see the ravens and crows. Absolutely. I do. I speak with them. And they speak with me. And they understand me. And they trust me and they remember me. They remember me. And they will be there for me and help me. What about our pets? Well, we get the privilege of watching them die most often. We often outlive our pets. It's tragic. It's heartbreaking. It's fucking devastating to lose a pet, whether you're a cat lover or a dog lover. Some people have cats and dogs. I can't express how much it hurts to lose a pet, or the pet that you're closest with that's yours. It's different if it's the family pet. It's still a loss and it's traumatic, but when your pet is like your baby and no one else's, and you're an adult and they're your pet, and they sleep with you every night beside you, and they're attached to you and you're attached to them, and they die in your arms. When they die in your arms, it hurts for years. Hurts for years. What's the lesson? Loss, grief. What does it teach our spirit to go through that? It seems like a wound that never fucking heals. What's the point of that? I'm asking you people that are full of excuses and justifications. I could hardly take it when my sisters would lose their pets, when they would die. As adults. When I was fully grown as an adult, and so were they. And I was 30 plus years old. Because I would become attached to their dogs. What about losing grandparents and parents? Mine are all gone. They've all died. Going to their funerals, seeing them buried in the ground as a child, seeing your grandparents buried, seeing them lower a casket into the ground, What's the point of this? Is what some of you refuse to ask because you're afraid, and you're afraid of that thing that you call a God. You praise it and worship it, and it loves to see you suffer. That's why it's designed to create suffering here. Most people are not strong enough to face where they are. What about wars? I know people blame men. They'll say it's all men's fault. I know. You'll blame men. That's what you do. That's what most people do. What about fires that have to be put out by firemen? You might lose someone. You might lose a fireman. It's a loved one on a 9 double hockey sticks event or some other event. You might lose your son or your brother or your husband, your best friend. That's the design of this realm. Death is part of the design, which people defend, of course. Have you ever been rushed by ambulance to a hospital? Have you ever seen a loved one rushed by ambulance to a hospital and gone through that? The worry, the anxiety. Have you gone through these things? It's all part of this realm. You'd call it normal. Well, that's all normal, Stephen. Most people don't question any of these things that I'm speaking about. It's all just normal to them, or it's just part of the experience. What about the cops? How about that? This realm has cops. Why does it have a need for police? Why are there so many criminals? Why do cops sometimes arrest the wrong person or harm the wrong person? Why don't we feel good when we see a cop car behind us in our rearview mirrors driving on the road? Why doesn't that feel good? It doesn't, does it? It makes you anxious. What about all the lost children? What about the children that get kidnapped in this realm? Is that part of the learning experience or school for spirits? Children that get kidnapped and go lost and all those sorts of horrific things that happens all too often in this fucked up hell realm? What about that? What about all of that? What about children that just get lost in a store and they can't find their parents and they start freaking out or panicking? A lot of us went through that at some point in our life, whether it was at a school or maybe at a big amusement park or somewhere in a crowd or something. I remember that happening to me. I remember more than that. I remember drowning in a river as a child. A frozen river. Icebergs in Canada. Early spring. What about being in a hospital room or a hospice with a loved one that's dying of old age and there's nothing you can do? They're 98 years old and you can't help them. Their body's just giving up. All of it. Their organs, their heart. Old age, they call it. Natural causes. They're dying of old age. And you can't help them no matter how much money you have, no matter how much care you have, concern. You do whatever you could to help them, and you can't. And it's a helpless feeling. Where's the lesson there? Where's the lesson? Are you here to learn your lessons on Earth in this hell realm sewer matrix? What about the heartache of a man losing his wife and having to live out his final years without his beloved wife by his side and missing her, and then he's dying alone? Or maybe it's the other way around. Maybe she's dying alone, missing her husband, and he died 5 or 8 or 10 years before, and she's lived into her 90s without her husband, and she misses him, and now she's dying alone. And her kids don't go to visit her. There's all sorts of these things going on in this realm. This is real. This happens in this place. Lots of people are in nursing homes, alone, nobody visiting them. Even if they have children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren, nobody bothers to go visit them, or hardly anyone does. Okay? What about going to school and studying technology and computers? We have to do it all over again. You don't just learn your lessons once. Every lifetime here you have to go to school again. Just like dying, you don't just do it once. some of these creepy creatures on YouTube say, oh, no one here's ever died. You ever heard of reincarnation? I think most here have died and been recycled over and over and over and over again. Over and over again. What about nostalgia? Remembering the 80s and let's say 80s TVs and stereos and electronics and your hobbies when you were younger and this and that. You have to relearn it all over again and do it again. Lifetime upon lifetime. What are the lessons? How are you growing stronger or better spiritually? What about love and losing your loved ones, or even just breakups? Breaking up with a girlfriend or losing touch with someone and you can't find them again, even with Facebook and the internet, and you just can't find them because they've married someone, their name has changed, whatever the case may be. You lose touch with ones that you loved here, or you get your heart broken. Is that a nice lesson to learn? What does your spirit get out of that? What about all the learning to read and all of the lessons of learning, reading books, reading hundreds of books, let's say? Well, there's some YouTubers like Chrissy Shateris that's never read one book in his whole life, not one, he said. I've read hundreds. Hundreds. I own hundreds and hundreds of books, shelves and shelves of books. But what good does it do in the end if you forget all that you read? It's the forgetting, the veil of forgetfulness. You learn mathematics, you go to school, you learn algebra, let's say, and calculus. So what? What does it matter in the end if you're going to be recycled and reborn as a newborn baby? You don't remember anything you studied, all that work and effort trying to learn that for years in school. For what? For what? You learned your lessons and then what? You don't remember. You don't remember. You won't remember what teachers you had. You won't remember your classmates. You won't remember the subjects and topics and tests and exams and essays. I don't already in this life. I've forgotten most of that. Most of what I sat through in school. Even the projects and school speeches, My mom had to remind me of some of the speeches that I did in elementary school. Look at this. What about the hatred of this realm? The hatred that certain groups have for other groups, we'll say. And the violence. And the rage. And the crimes that people endure. The violence. People get robbed violently. Home invasions. They lose loved ones to shootings, to murders, to attacks. And then there's violent sexual assaults. There's all sorts of things that go on in this realm. There's prisons. Tons of inmates, millions of inmates in prisons in this realm. Is that a school? Are they learning lessons? Millions incarcerated in prisons right now in this realm. And you would say they're here just to learn lessons, spiritual lessons. Some of you. Or some of you watch channels that argue that. It's just a learning experience, man. It's just a school for spirits. You have to keep coming to learn your lessons. Well, how the fuck do you learn your lessons if you can't remember them from one lifetime to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next? You can't. You can't learn that way. It's impossible. And it's designed that way to be impossible. It's designed that way so that you don't retain knowledge from the last lifetime to this one, to the next, to the next. Because you would realize what this place is if you were able to remember and retain your memories and knowledge. You would realize where you are and how dark this place is. How violent and evil and demonic this place is. This realm is demonic. It's not here to teach your spirit or grow your spirit or help your spirit. It's designed to eat your spirit, to degrade, to rot, to decay your spirit. It's designed to make you weaker and disempower you. It's designed to make you food and also turn you demonic. It's designed to destroy you, not to help you. What's my evidence? Everything in the realm itself. All you have to do is observe how it's designed, the way it operates, life eating life and death, and the suffering, the massive suffering of 10,000 plus diseases that are already documented. And there's probably many more than that. This will be us one day, either as an old woman dying or an old man, if you live to old age. Who's to say I won't be dead tomorrow or next week? Something could happen to me out of nowhere. Who knows? But I'm not going to end my own self. I'm not feeling suicidal, we'll say. All right? I'm not depressed. But this is what happens to us. This is the way this place is designed. It's by design. It's made this way. It's made to create hardship and suffering. All life here has to eat other life to survive. We get diseases, we get colds, flus, broken bones, bee stings. We get all sorts of things in this place. We end up in the hospital sometimes. We lose loved ones to heart attacks and car accidents, and perhaps to diabetes and multiple sclerosis. I do have difficulty sometimes pronouncing that. For some reason, I don't know why. We lose loved ones sometimes from being hit by a car. I've told the story. Friends of my family growing up, they lost their son when he was, I think, 13 or 14 years old. Right around that age. Police showed up at their door to tell them. That's the way I remember it. And it was on TV, the local news. He was walking across the street, trying to take a shortcut home. And he was one of the, I wouldn't say nicest, I'd say sweetest kids, a sweet spirit. Just a good, real good being that never wanted to hurt anyone. All these decades later, and that makes me emotional, thinking of that. Because I knew as a child, I was younger than him, that he was one of the good ones. And he had a younger brother that had to grow up all of his life from that point forward without his brother. And his parents were devastated. They were never the same after that at all. That's what this realm does to people that lose a child. His father became a complete alcoholic mess. For years and years, just drowned in a bottle. Anyway, 2 children on my street died of genetic disorders. They were very small and frail in wheelchairs. The oldest boy died before I was old enough to know him. Then they had a girl, and then they had a younger son. And that's when they did the genetic testing and realized what was going on. This place is a hell realm. We're not here to learn. We're here to suffer. And I hope you understand that. I hope you realize where you are. Learn now or pay later.